The Silk Road to Venice. Trade and Triumph. The Silk Road, a historic network of trade routes connecting the East and the West, played a pivotal role in shaping global history. Though the famous Silk Road is often associated with China and Central Asia, its impact extended far beyond, reaching the shores of Venice, a powerful maritime republic in Italy. The story of how goods, ideas, and cultures traveled from the East to Venice is one of trade, triumph, and the creation of a vibrant cultural and economic exchange that shaped the Renaissance. Origins of the Silk Road. The Silk Road is often thought of as a single road, but it was actually a vast collection of routes that stretched from China to the Mediterranean. It spanned across Central Asia, Persia, and the Arabian Peninsula. The name Silk Road itself comes from the valuable silk that was traded along these routes. However, it also facilitated the exchange of spices, textiles, precious metals, art, and knowledge between cultures. The roots of this exchange can be traced to the 2nd century BCE, during the reign of the Han Dynasty in China. The Chinese, under Emperor Wu, began sending missions westward to open trade routes. These journeys were initially intended to secure alliances with Central Asian kingdoms, but soon, they discovered a market for Chinese silk, which became highly coveted in the Mediterranean world. The Venetian connection. While the Silk Road's primary routes connected Asia with the Middle East and Central Asia, Venice played a critical role in connecting the East to the rest of Europe. By the 11th century, Venice had become a powerful maritime republic with a vast network of trade routes across the Mediterranean. Its location on the northeastern coast of Italy made it an ideal hub for trade between the East and the West. Venetians were among the first to establish direct trade links with the Byzantine Empire and the Islamic world, regions that were vital intermediaries between the East and Europe. Venetian merchants ventured as far as Alexandria in Egypt, Constantinople, modern-day Istanbul, and other key Middle Eastern and North African ports, where goods from Asia were brought to Europe. Through their extensive maritime trade, Venetians gained access to rare commodities such as spices, precious metals, and most famously, silk. The trade route to Venice. The path that goods traveled to reach Venice was complex and involved many intermediaries. Initially, Chinese silk, along with other goods like paper, porcelain, and tea, would travel along the overland routes of the Silk Road, passing through Central Asia, Persia, and the Byzantine Empire. In the Byzantine Empire, the goods would then be transferred to Venetian ships, which were capable of navigating the Mediterranean and reaching the ports of Europe. Venetians, however, were not just passive recipients of goods, they were active participants in the trade. The Venetian fleet would sail to key hubs like Alexandria and Constantinople, where they would exchange European goods such as wool, glassware, and salt for luxury items. Over time, the Venetian merchants gained significant control over the Eastern Mediterranean's trade routes, which provided them with a monopoly on the lucrative spice and silk trades. Venice, a gateway to Europe. By the 13th century, Venice had become the major gateway for luxury goods entering Europe. Venetian merchants, often seen as the intermediaries between East and West, played a crucial role in the economic development of Europe during the Middle Ages. They brought not only silk and spices, but also the ideas and technologies of the East, which contributed to Europe's intellectual and artistic flourishing during the Renaissance. The Silk Road's influence can be seen in the rise of Venetian wealth and the city's stunning architectural achievements. The immense wealth generated from trade allowed the Venetian elite to sponsor art, architecture, and scholarship. The opulent palaces and churches of Venice, such as the Doge's Palace and St. Mark's Basilica, were constructed with materials and designs influenced by the East, and Venetian merchants were often patrons of Renaissance artists who helped shape the city's cultural identity. Decline and legacy. The Silk Road's dominance as the primary trade route between East and West began to decline in the 15th century. The rise of maritime powers, such as Portugal and Spain, seeking to establish direct sea routes to Asia, gradually undermined Venice's monopoly on trade. Additionally, the fall of Constantinople in 1453 and the Ottoman Empire's control over key trade routes further disrupted the flow of goods to Venice. However, the legacy of the Silk Road and Venice's pivotal role in it remains. The city's wealth from trade and its engagement with the East had a lasting impact on European culture, especially in art, science, and commerce. The Silk Road laid the foundation for the global exchange of goods and ideas, contributing to the interconnected world that would later emerge during the Age of Exploration. Venice's rise to prominence as a maritime republic, powered by its role as the gateway between East and West, exemplified the triumph of trade in fostering economic prosperity, cultural exchange, and artistic innovation. The city's place in history, especially its relationship with the Silk Road, remains an enduring symbol of the power of global trade in shaping civilizations. Conclusion. The journey of goods, ideas, and culture along the Silk Road to Venice encapsulates a pivotal moment in global history. Venice's rise as a thriving economic and cultural center owes much to its strategic position along the trade routes, which allowed it to control the flow of valuable goods from Asia to Europe. The Silk Road, in all its complexity, bridged continents and civilizations, with Venice standing as a beacon of trade, triumph, and cultural fusion. Through this ancient trade network, Venice became not only a center of commerce, but also a crucible of Renaissance creativity, innovation, and global exchange.